Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of our discussion on preventing injuries, and we're speaking specifically about back injuries and how to prevent them. So yesterday we talked about a couple different things in regards to that, and today I want to go into more of a live demonstration of making sure that when you're getting down lower that you're moving in the proper position so that you don't put extra stress on your back. I had mentioned before how your back can be very strong as long as it maintains its integrity and doesn't, as I was talking before, where you find it yourself rolling over. As soon as you have this arch in your back, it is then becomes much more weaker as if you have that tipping straight back or your shoulders up in that upright position. So 3 things to consider when you're picking up weights, whether you're leaning over to pick things up or if you're doing things like squats, is make sure before you get your workout started, you do a proper warm-up. Some kind of light cardio, some dynamic stretching, and things to get your muscles warmed up and get those fluids moving through those joints so that they're ready to function and go. Don't forget that stretching is important because a lot of times when we are inflexible, our form starts to suffer. So the next thing you want to make sure you're not doing is picking up something that's too heavy. A lot of times we forget to check our ego at the door and we think that we can pick up that extra weight when in reality it's a little too heavy for us. And what happens is that extra weight causes our form to break down, and that's where the injuries start. So that's our third topic for today, is to make sure you're maintaining proper form. So as an example, let's just walk through a basic squat. So things that you want to consider is you're trying not to lean forward. A lot of times, even if you're moving around, we have a dumbbell over here, you want to make sure that you're bending down to pick it up as opposed to just leaning forward. As soon as you do this, you can see that my arch or my back is rounded over and it becomes weaker. So I want to make sure that I'm coming down to pick it up and move it out of the way. So in general, when we're talking about squats, what we want to do is make sure that, first off, depending on what type of squat you're doing, you have your knees aligned over your feet. It's very important that your knees track out over your toes. Your hip placement and shape is going to determine what's more comfortable, whether your feet are parallel, directly under your hips, or if your toes are pointed out slightly. So find that comfortable position with your feet relatively under your hips. And then from there, you're going to start to pick those shoulders up, chest is up, shoulders are back, and you're going to start to descend down. You want to make sure that your shoulders and your hips descend at the same time if you have weight or your arms in front of you for ballast. But as you can see that my back maintains a slight arch as I go down. And at any point you feel that you're starting to fall forward and your shoulders are descending quicker than your hips, you're at the bottom of your range and flexibility, and it's time for you to then come back up or drop the weight so that you can go lower. Again, I was talking about flexibility. A lot of hamstring, calf flexibility comes into play to determine how low you can go. It is okay for your knees to track out past your toes. You want to make sure they do not buckle in. If you have the flexibility, you can go all the way down. But as you can see, my hips start to rotate in. That would be too far for me. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is twisting. We do a lot of different moves, especially in yoga, that involve twisting. And what happens is we try to twist that lower lumbar part of our spine around our belly button area. This part of our spine is not designed to twist very far. We want to make sure that when we're twisting, it's more towards our shoulders and not much of our back as we open and move from side to side. So keep that in mind, especially if you're under tension. You don't want to go and be sitting at your chair and then go and reach over to pick something up. As soon as you have that twist in your upper body, your spine is no longer compressed and strong, and you're leaving it much more vulnerable to get hurt. So keep those things in mind. Thanks for watching. If you missed part 1, don't forget there was a link up at the top in the beginning of this video. And if you find these helpful, please subscribe down below. My name is John, and thanks again for watching.